Serving all of San Diego, this is your Fox 5 News.
Well, the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut has restarted the debate over gun control and mental health policies in our country. Joining us this morning, we want to welcome Rory Pendergast from the Young Democrats, a gun control supporter, and Anna Yum, a gun advocate and former prosecutor. We're also joined this morning by our political professor, Rick Epps from San Diego State. Good morning to all three of you. Thank you for being here.
Good morning,
Good morning. How are you doing?
All right, Rory and Anna, I want to start with you. We've been talking a lot about a lot of people just still wondering why. What should we do now so that this won't happen again? What do you both think should be done, given what happened in Newtown?
Well, go ahead, please, go ahead.
Before I begin, I just want to extend my deepest condolences to the families and the victims involved in the situation. It's just such an atrocity, and I can't even imagine the pain and the suffering that they're going through. So before I delve into this topic, I just want to extend my deepest condolences. And my thoughts on the situation, Shally, is that I don't think that accessibility of guns is necessarily the cause of these problems, nor do I think that gun control is necessarily a solution to these problems. And the reason I say that is because if you look at the majority of gun violence here in the country, the majority of the gun violence stems from illegally obtained guns. I mean, if you look at the homicide rate per capita in places like Chicago and DC, Illinois and Washington, D.C. have some of the most stringent gun laws in our country, yet you look at their homicide rate. And then when you think about the illegally obtained guns, in my world and what I do as a former prosecutor and a criminal defense attorney, I see felons in possession all the time. I see illegally obtained guns all the time. I don't necessarily think it's a gun problem. I think it's a society problem and a people problem dealing with the mental health issues at hand.
Right, and Rory, I want to bring you into the conversation because from what we've understood too, that these guns were not illegally obtained, the ones that were used in this shooting. I don't know if that brings any comfort to parents that lost their children.
It doesn't bring any comfort to the parents that lost their children. I think the biggest thing what we have to look at is this, is that in the past 30 years, there's been 61 or 62 mass homicides. 3/4 of these mass homicides that were carried out by guns, where the guns were obtained legally. And so this is not just a mental health problem. I will tell you this is not just a gun control problem. This is a huge problem. And so what we need is a comprehensive approach. We need first off to have gun rules in place that can stop from these high-powered assault semi-automatic weapons getting in the hands of people who may have mental health issues. Second, we need to look at, truly look at what is going on with mental health. And then third, we need, as a community of Newton, as a community of the United States, we need to come together and start talking about how we solve this problem.
Right, let's talk a little bit about that. Rick, I want to bring you into this. I saw something pretty interesting online yesterday. It was a string of clips that were put together from President Bush, President Clinton, and now President Obama. All were presidents during a time that there was some type of tragic shooting at some schools. And all of them were saying the same thing. All of them saying that we need some type of meaningful legislation. We need to change the thing. Yet all these years have gone by, and what?
Well, part of this is, the issue, for this tragedy, and again, for me, it's even a greater tragedy because one of my son's classmates was one of the victims of this shooting, who had just moved back there a year ago. And, the issue when you look at this, and the reason you see the president's back off, because the politics of it, the NRA is the most powerful lobby in D.C., and a lot of people in Congress lose their jobs when they go after the NRA or go after this issue. It actually hurt Clinton in his second run, and so basically what they do is they give great lip service and then they back off of it because politically it gets too charged.
Yeah, and Rick, I'm sorry to interrupt because I just wanted to share this. I saw something also yesterday. Someone had said, and please excuse me because I don't remember who exactly said it, but it said one failed attempt at that shoe bombing that we had several years ago, and now we got to take off our shoes and practically everything to get through airport security. We've had how many shootings? How many shootings?
Shelley, there's been 31 shootings since Columbine.
And so what that tells you is that we have way too many shootings. And part of the political process is that this isn't a Republican issue, this isn't a Democrat issue. And so when you're looking at it, you have especially, I'm from Montana, so I know how this is, that as a politician in Montana, you cannot come out against guns or in favor of some sort of even reasonable gun control. And so what happens is that the president, any president, is going to be hard-pressed to be able to rally their troops and get something through. I think that now we have an opportunity. We have Democrats in Congress, in the Senate, who are from rural areas, who have A ratings from the NRA, who are saying, you know what, now we need to come together, we need to sit down, and everything's on the table.
And there definitely needs to be a solution, Rory. I agree with you in that, because we're talking about not just the shootings that are going on, but people who have it in their minds that they are going to implement some kind of plan to kill, some kind of plan to engage in some kind of mass killing spree. I mean, let's talk about that madman in China. Yeah. He went out and stabbed 22 children. Granted, it wasn't a gun, but he went out and stabbed 22 kids.
Those 22 kids aren't, it's not the same result as we have with these 20 poor little kids who have passed away. Right. And so I think what we need to start looking at is that, yes, criminals, people with mental health problems, they may be able to perpetrate violence. However, when you add a gun into that violence, it becomes much more severe, and then you have here where we have 20 kids who are dead and 6 of these teachers, these principals. And so I think now we're at a time when we need to come together as a community and as a country and start looking at what do we have to do to stop.
And what are some of the solutions that we need to look at? We need to look at beefing up security. We need to look at beefing up security at schools. We need to look at implementing some mental health resources so that there's a safety net, so that people who have mental health issues who are capable of doing these things don't slip through the cracks.
We have, I know this conversation could go on and on. We've been talking about this for days, and I hope that you all come back to talk to us more about it, because it's important to keep the conversation going. Rory, Anna, Rick, thank you all for being here. We do appreciate it.
Thank you,
very
Shally.
much. Good luck.